Well, you know what? Well, all this competition that we put on, all the way we're measuring these kids, force them into school so dang early that it's just ridiculous how early they get in. Do you know that they've already done the studies? Whether you teach your kid to read at 2 or 3, or you teach them to read at 5 or 6, by 4th grade, they're all even. There's no advantage after 4th grade forcing your kid to read early, but many times for them to have to be graded and all that stuff and all the competition they feel right away, that you don't get the emotional foundation on it. Then they come teenagers and the pressure on them academically is huge, and then they start to really crumble. It's just silly. There's no reason why a 4-year-old should be struggling with depression, but it's that's uber parents that force.
Is that the same as hovering?
Yeah. Get this. I was work with this lady. Her son's in college, and she calls him every morning. It does a wake-up call, and she calls him, and she knows what classes he has and what papers are due and all that stuff. And she was telling me about this, and she says, boy, the kid, he just doesn't seem to have doesn't push himself hard enough. And I said, why are you calling him? He's off at university. Well, I just call him every morning. I welcome him. That's like I always done. But he's at university. But I thought, I've given 2 of my daughters away in marriage. I'll tell you one thing, Moira. I would not want to walk my daughter down an aisle and hand her hand over to a young man whose mother woke him up every morning in college.
Well, we've got 30% of Canadians in the 20-something range are still at home with mom and dad. You had a way of handling that threat.
You see, home is... our home is supposed to be dress rehearsal for real life. And so what we did, when they were 13, we had a rite of passage time with them, a trip. Each one got to pick where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. And then one of the parents went with them, and I took the boys, Darcy took the girls, and we said, now look, when we get back, we're going to treat you differently. You're no longer a boy or a girl. You're a young man or a young woman. We're going to give you more freedoms. You're going to have more responsibilities. At 16, we had friends come over. We had a little dinner with each one, and we talked with them. Here's what we wish somebody would have told us when we were 16, and so forth. And we prayed over them. And they said, now remember, when you graduate from high school, you got to understand, we will assist you with some of your college education, but you're basically launched, and we expect you to act that way. And we'll help you. We'll help finance, a C average or above in college. But if you think you're going to just drink all the time or let your grades go, no, the bank closes at that point. And the only way it's going to reopen is you have to pay for the next semester and show me that C average again, C or above. And by the way, it's never been a factor with our kids. They just went off and they work just fine in school, and they do fine because you build them up to it. But a lot of parents, they just completely indulge and they accommodate their kids. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. I like to define the kids there. These are kids basically who are born on third base, but are under the delusion they hit a triple. I mean, they didn't hit anything. And so what do we expect? We put competition on them. We're constantly comparing them. We put them on a spiritual performance basis. And if I was a kid in that home, I wouldn't want anything to do with their faith, and I really wouldn't want to have a whole lot of ambition either.
Now, with the pressures in our culture, and even my teenage son said to my husband, Dad, you don't know how tough it is, the pressures in this environment. How do you take that often well-intentioned parent out of helicopter parent mode into the freedom of grace-based parenting, which is really what this is about?
Yeah. Grace-based parenting is simply treating your kids the way God treats you. Now, is God panicking when he deals with us? Does he say, gee, you're on your own. I'm not going to walk with you through anything? I mean, grace-based parenting is the most freeing thing because, by the way, it's not abandoning the rules because God doesn't abandon the rules in his grace with us. The rules are all in place. The truth is all in place. The consequences and correction are all in place. But the heart, it's all about the heart. And when a kid knows that their mother and father, that at least one of them is connected to their heart and is walking all the way through life, those young years with them, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And don't let the culture tell you what your kid's supposed to be. Let the Bible tell you. And the Bible is not about checklists. It's about heart. Let me give you the 2 things that they have found that the most effective parents that raise Christian kids are doing. One is they're deliberate. Doesn't mean they know what they're doing, but they're deliberate.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, they don't have to know what they're doing, but they're really trying to be conscientious as parents.
Without micromanaging.
Without micromanaging, but they're just not, it's not, in other words, they're not indifferent or accidental about what they're really trying. They read books, they pray a lot for their kids, that kind of thing.
Are they spending more than 10 minutes a day, which is the average up here?
Yeah, absolutely.
With their
Well, the
children?
kids are on their mind. I mean, it's like my ring there. See, I had a ring mate. It has me and Darcy and all the kids on the
It
ring.
does. They're little people, like the little cutout dolls.
Just
you know,
to kind of remind me.
They're gonna try and get it. I don't know if
Okay, just to remind
Can you
me
see the little
that I'm a
people?
parent and that I've got to
that's
be
so
this all the time.
Oh.
And so you're deliberate about it. And the second thing, and this is the one that's going to be the game changer for the people listening to us, is they as a family, they serve others. Not accidentally, but intuitively. You know, people say,
Do they
well,
do it together as a
they do it
family?
together and they do it individually. They serve each other, they serve their neighbors, they serve at church, they serve the poor. And I'll tell you what, the poor is one area that any Christian family that does not have a heart for the poor, don't be surprised if you raise a bunch of spoiled Christian kids that don't want anything to do with their faith. Caring for the poor is at the heart of the Bible. And one of the I don't know how we figured this out, but early on we just said we are not letting our kids out of our home without a really deep, compassionate heart for the poor.
That's why missions trips do
they're
often
great.
rescue teenagers.
They're great.
Get them out of themselves.
But Moira, I hear the parents say, well, we always go down and we feed the hungry, we feed the homeless on Thanksgiving. Or what's your holiday? You have a Thanksgiving
We
up
do,
here.
too, yeah.
Thanksgiving. I say,
It's
that's
not
really
quite
nice.
as big as yours. But
Yeah, I say, well, that's really
it's
nice,
important.
but you know, the homeless get hungry 365 days a year, not just on that particular holiday. You know, do it when it's inconvenient to you. Do it more on a regular basis. And I like missions trips, but I also want to know what are those 25 weeks bracketing those 2 weeks? What are they like? Right. Because you can't have compartmental servant attitude. When the 4 qualities of a truly great heart, you know, in this book I outline these 4 qualities, and they are a humble heart, a grateful heart, a generous heart, and a servant's heart. And by the way, those are actually those are very easy to transfer to a kid. They really are easy. Here's all you have to do. You embody them as a parent. When you have a humble heart, a grateful heart, a generous heart, and a servant's heart, guess what there isn't room for there? Fear, comparison, intimidation. And then when you are out on the front lines living that kind of life with your kids and showing them how to do it, then it becomes much more second nature to them. They'll be fine academically. They'll do well in the marketplace. They'll make plenty of money. They'll make beautiful grandkids. Everything will be fine.
I love your calm. I'm hearing that we need to cease striving and come back to the source, the one who embodies all those things and can help us to do the same. Your books are so practical and so helpful. Why Christian Kids Rebel? There's one you might want to read. Of course, the classic grace-based parenting. We're going to maybe touch on this next interview because it has to be part of it. Little House on the Freeway. I mean, where's the other one? Where's the other one? Here it is. Look at this. This is from Grace-Based Parenting. I'm just going to read these fast. A primer for grace-based parenting. Know your children's deepest longings. See their truest needs. Understand their greatest challenges. Envision their highest potential. I don't think you can do that grazing past them 10 minutes a day.
But we'll tell you exactly what those are in those books. By the way, they can go to our website at www.familymatters.net. Go to familymatters.net and they can get all these resources. Plus, we have some great Bible studies for couples that want to learn grace-based parenting. Me and Darcy teach, or is it Darcy and I teach them on DVD, and they're a lot of fun. And you know, we've been teaming up with Focus on the Family Canada to do a lot of these conferences up here, Raising Truly Great Kids conferences. And so if they want to know more about that, just get a hold of our ministry.
That's wonderful.
And we'll help them out.
You know, parenting is not, it's not all fun and games, but we actually have a game board here. Tomorrow, Dr. Kimmel is going to show us a tool that is really fun. And we'll take parents on a journey. Well, it's really the operating manual we should have got with each kid, right, Dr. Kimmel?
Yep. It's a lot of fun.
It will be. Discover your child's heart. Kids Flag page tomorrow.